1, 2, 3, 4. Down to the VHS. VHS out of the VHS. It's the 18 of my business. Cause I was out of the house and doing stuff. No easy Wi-Fi beverages, but I guess that's the way it goes. Down to the VHS. VHS out of the VHS. Got no money, smoking crack, saving up for the Betamax. Down to the VHS. VHS out of the VHS.
That looks fine. What's up?
Greetings. Welcome to Obscure Tape Time, the show where we watch VHS in their entirety and invite you to suffer along with us.
Start to finish. Or
Ow.
whatever.
Or stuff. Look at this.
And things.
Live rejigging.
Yeah. Change things.
Yeah, you changed a lot of stuff. We've got a whole new kind of setup sitting around here. We've got no...
Requires far less setup.
Yeah, it's good. You have done a lot of hard work and done a lot of good things, and we got here and we had to do some more tweaking and setup just before going live. You just put in so much hard work that I think you deserve a prize. So I got you a badge. It's like, yay, your badge. You are the read it. Yeah, read it.
A National Volunteer Week 2021 Brotherhood of St. Lawrence. Thank me.
Yeah, you got an award.
I helped.
You got an award. You helped.
I can put that in with all my other badges when I find where I put them.
They're in the shed.
I hope they're not. I think they might be in here somewhere.
So, what aside from rejigging the entire setup, you didn't been doing anything else this week?
Not really. Not really at all.
I mean, it's a big job.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a couple of hours. I took everything down because I was like testing things out. I can move that more. Yeah, I was testing things out and trying to make it sort of look nice and like to basically swap to an upscaler so we don't have to use the CRT anymore or my capture card that doesn't work. And it was going fine. Like everything was working like perfectly fine. And I was like, oh, awesome. I can remove the CRT. I can reset everything up so that, we have a ton more room to move around and everything will be much neater. And so I did it. It took a couple hours. And then when I tried to get everything working again, the upscaler just did not work. Like I had to set up the exact same way and it did not work.
Is it because it's a terrible upscaler? We need to get you a better quality?
No, I'll get into that.
Okay.
But I was like, you know what, fuck it, it's fine, because the capture card has been working. So, as long as I only use it for tape time, and like I tested it and stuff because I wanted to see whether, what the problem would have been, whether it was the VCR needing a CRT or whether it was the device itself.
Yeah.
So anyway, I plugged in the capture card and it worked, and I was like, oh, well, fine, that explains everything. Now I know exactly what's wrong. It's the device, so I can play around with that. Played around with it, couldn't figure it out. I have a Switch that Milsheen bought me. I thought maybe it's that. Maybe it's not getting the power it needs. Maybe something else is going on. So I played around with that. So anyway, I say, fuck it. I'll just use the capture card. I'll keep the capture card in here. So this morning I plug in the capture card and it fucked up, just like it used to. And I was like, oh my fucking God, why today? And I was like, you know what? While I'm like pissed off, let's just take care of some stuff that like I need to do for next week. So I thought voice meter needs to be replaced because I used the basic one. I wanted to upgrade to the voice meter banana.
So I can bring 2 more pairs of these over for, yeah.
Well, that's it. So we can actually like have guests in the room with us.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a logistical nightmare anyway, trying to fit us like all in here on the camera.
I
but
love logistical.
It's fine.
nightmares.
It's fine. We'll make it work. I'll find a way. I'll find a way.
Mm.
Anyways, I uninstall the old one and I have to reboot to finish the uninstallation. It goes fine. I'm happy. I'm stoked on that. And then I install the next one, and my computer just will not boot up. Like, oh no, fuck am I? And all I did was just sit there restarting it for like 10, 15 minutes. And eventually it booted up, and I was like, thank Christ for that. So anyway, to continue this story of the shit show that was this morning, I then try the capture card again, and of course it's worse now.
Yay.
It's decided it works even less, which is what happens. That's just normally what happens is the sound goes really bad. It becomes just like, instead of actually outputting sound, it just makes like a loud like buzz noise constantly, and it's awful. You do not hear anything from what you're capturing. You only hear the buzz. But then if you unplug it and plug it back in, then even the video fucks up and you get nothing. So I was like, well, goddamn, what am I gonna do? And so I tried the upscaler again, and of course it didn't work. And then, while the upscaler's plugged in, and I'm fucking around with settings, I discovered that there's a button on the front of the switch machine got me, because I lost the remote for it. And I pressed it once, and the lights changed, and then it worked. That's not the end of the story though, because there was more issues that came up. Because then I had to figure out how to like rescale it properly in OBS. So I'm trying to get that working. I'm like, wait a minute, I remember there being a setting in the actual capture software that Elgato has, the Elgato game capture, that lets you just like force it to a certain resolution, especially if it's like old technology plugged in through it. You can force it to scale it down and to make it the right resolution. So I'm like, awesome, I'll do that. Game capture doesn't want to read it. Does not want to accept that there is something plugged into it, unless it's a Nintendo Switch or a fucking PlayStation or even my computer. Does not like the fact that there is an upscaler plugged into it. So it just wouldn't read it. So I was like, oh man, that sucks, but it's fine. I'll just go back into OBS and I'll reset and I'll just go back to the settings I had before. Well, that didn't want to work either, did it? It just suddenly wasn't turning up at all anymore. So I'm stuck with now back at square one. I pressed the little button again because I'm like, maybe it reset. Nope, it wasn't that. That wasn't the problem. The lights changed, and every time I pressed it, the light changed, and it didn't come back. And I was like, well, fuck. So I go into the settings, and then I blue screen. Computer just fucking blue screened on me. God. And I had to boot it up, which took another like 5 minutes, because I had to keep fucking booting it. Turning it on and off, and on and off and on. Finally get it to boot up again. Open up OBS, and everything had crashed, so I lost all the all the progress that I'd made. Fine, that's fine. I can just do it. It didn't take long. Do it again. Immediately, blue screen again. Yay! Another 5 minutes or so of trying to get the thing to boot up, and it finally worked. And as far as we could see on the big screen here, it's all good. I think that's the end of the story until something fucks up midway through the stream.
So if anything is looking not as good as usual, don't tell us this week. Pete's had enough. Tell us next week.
No, you can tell me. It's just so I have a capture card on the way, like a cheap, shitty one that hopefully will not be as bad as either of the two expensive ones that I bought.
I got a cheap, shitty one at home. I should have brought it, but I kind of rushed out the door. Sorry.
It's fine. I like it should be here in the next couple of days. So.
Yeah, and I've got an Elgato on the way.
Yeah, hopefully that's as good as it as my Elgato is. So hopefully next week everything will be like requiring 0 setup every day, except for moving this table.
Sounds good.
Anyway, in more relevant news, what have you been up to?
I was visiting one of the thrift shops around the corner from my house, telling them to hold on to crap for me. And one of the ladies said, "Have you tried going up to Hard Rubbish in Melbourne?" I'm like, why would I go all the way out to Melbourne? She's like, sometimes they have stuff on the side of the road, and usually it's just TV tapes, the stuff that most thrift shops would throw in the bin. And, just on a whim, after Sunday gaming, I decided, you know what, I'm going to get in the car, drive up there, because I looked at where it was, and it's right near the zoo, which you don't drive, but I do.
I know where it is.
It's a straight line from
Yeah.
our house all the way there, basically, so it's not a problem with driving in traffic and stuff, and I thought I'd just go out there. So I parked at the corner of where it starts, and I just started running up and down all the streets, getting my exercise in while looking for tapes.
That's a good idea.
Going through trash, I found some like elephant tusks that I'm going to use as like demon horns on something, and I found some gingerbread men that are skeleton cookie cutters, but I found no tapes. I ran for 4 hours, and I found one tape that when I opened it had nothing in it, but it was like a movie anyway, so even if I had got it, it would have just been like, this is all I get. So I was going back to the car.
Got elephant tusks.
Yeah, I got elephant tusks. I was on my way back to the car, and just where I parked the car was a family cleaning out the house of an old lady, throwing everything on the side of the road, and they had VHS galore. Just boxes and boxes of it. I started loading it in the car. The kids were like going through and moving stuff so that they could, show me where all the tapes were, and I loaded all in the car, and they all had Italian writing on it because it was
so crazy.
all Italian TV rips and stuff. The little old lady had written stuff, so I got 230, I think I said, tapes, and 230 tapes from this one side of the road thing just as I was about to go home. So
it ended up being quite lucrative then.
Absolutely. So you're coming for a drive on Wednesday. On Saturday, yes?
Yes. Yep.
I guess we'll talk about that at the end of the show, but I was thinking we'd stop by on the way as well.
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
They change like suburbs a little bit. They go up. So next week's one's a little higher, so we can go look at a different suburb. Anyway.
Okay. Are we gonna make a habit of this?
Oh, it happens twice a year. Once in winter, once in summer. So I don't see why not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Huh.
I'm down for that.
All right, that's a lot of story
time.
Hundreds of my earphones just turned on and off, so. I think all you have to do is click already what it's loaded in as. So just click it again, and it just should be fine. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Should be fine.
Okay.
Who knows? We'll see once we start playing. So let's hurry up and get into things. Today I brought in some medical tapes. Now I've already told the story about how I got a bag of these from a lady on Gumtree, and she wanted to meet up in the middle of town, and it seemed kind of shady, and there was a whole bunch of stuff. I just grabbed 3 random ones from the top of the pile. I vetted them to make sure they weren't gross or anything like that, but I'm going to play a couple of games. One's going to be long. So the first long game is 2 of these are exciting in the terms of this show, good enough to be exciting. One of these is absolutely dreary and boring. All 3 of them go for 20 minutes ish, so it's not going to be too bad. But what I want you to do is place bets, you and the viewers. I like that we're this close. Place bets. Which one do you think will be most dreary? So we have Osteoporosis And You, Toxic Shock Syndrome, and Immunisation.
I'm guessing that Toxic Shock is the boring one because it sounds the most exciting.
Okay, so we'll reveal which one is the most boring when we get there. But the first one that I'd like to play for you is Osteoporosis And You. Now here comes our second game already. I'll give you like 20 questions, narrow it down. This is introduced by a star. So you've already...
star.
If anyone has guessed that Osteoporosis was the boring one, we're already not choosing that one. You're out. Because Osteoporosis has a famous celebrity bullshit introduction. Oh, it's just this one particular celebrity. There's 2 celebrities. You might get one. But go. 20 questions it down.
Are they Aussie?
Yes.
Nice.
That's one good question.
Male?
No.
Oh, okay. Human?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was thinking aggro maybe.
No. We do have another aggro tape.
Shit. Home and Away?
Don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, I wouldn't know anyway, would I? That was a really dumb question to ask.
Well,
God.
you want a lifeline hint?
Yeah, right. Give me a hint.
They have been on your channel before on one of the tapes. Not on our show, but on the channel.
Oh wait, what? So on the
On my show, yeah. on while you were away show.
Oh, on cinema.
On cinema.
I'm trying to think of what you've watched that's Aussie. So is it that old lady from the road trip movie?
Ruth Cracknell. This is hosted by Ruth Cracknell. Yay! And the other celebrity is some dude who cooks stuff.
Luigi?
Luigi. Yes, it's Luigi. No, it's not Luigi. All right,
Aw.
let's check
Well, now I don't want to watch it. I thought it was Luigi. I'd be curious to check out some of those Italian tapes, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet some of them and see which one we can watch. Maybe we can watch one for cinema or something, or if there's something else on there. Who knows?
Well, you know, once we come back from break, we can probably start doing a couple, like, actual longer episodes occasionally, so...
We'll find something. I'll start going through them soon. I like that bump.
I think I might need to boost the mic up a little bit.
People notice it in different
All right.
ways, I suppose. I noticed it when it got harder and harder to reach for the cups on the top shelf in the cupboard. Of course, that is not why I spent last week in hospital. I fell in the shower. It wasn't a bad fall, but it was enough to break my wrist. They tell me this is all part of osteoporosis.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not very happy about it, I can tell you. Do you know that the doctors tell me that next time it could be my hip that gets broken?
That would be bad.
I am very independent, and if this is part of getting old, I don't like it one bit.
I do.
Pokemon Gold.
I have one kind of similar, but it's Goosebumps.
Oh, that's cool.
I was going to wear it somewhere, but not here because they're all white. How do you not get stuff all over your white? I'm
Just part
scared.
of getting older.
I'm scared of wearing the white.
That's where
It's
she's
from, I
wrong.
got it, like,
It
yesterday.
doesn't have to be like that, you
See,
know.
that's Ruth Cracknell.
Hello,
What up?
I'm Ruth Cracknell. I'd like to take a few minutes of your time to talk about osteoporosis. Certainly, things do change as we get older. Osteoporosis can be one of those
Celebrities
changes.
still do these kind
But
of
fortunately, as we'll find out, new ways
sure.
are being found to manage it. There are tens of
I don't know
thousands
where
of
we'd get a hold of them if
osteoporosis
they did.
sufferers who will say
No, I'm
much the
just
same
curious, 'cause,
as
like-
the woman we saw at the start
I mean,
of the
that
tape.
footballer does that Geelong
For
video,
them,
that-
osteoporosis may mean that even a minor
cinema.
fracture
Yeah, but that's an
can
ad.
become a major
You
disability.
mean like, yeah,
I mean,
And
like,
with
this
up to
specific
1
kind
in
of
2
thing.
women over 50
this
at
isn't
risk
that.
of an
This is an ad for a
osteoporotic
particular
fracture, it is in
osteoporosis
truth
medicine.
a major
They're trying to pretend
disease.
like
Like a
it's
lot
Right,
of major
but we
diseases,
live
it took
in
quite a while for it to
country
be
where
really
that's not gonna
recognised. Think
bankrupt
about
you.
it for a minute.
So
All older people who seem
still less of an
confused
endorsement,
used to be
more
thought of
an-
as
I
senile.
guess.
But
Yeah.
then we recognise the problem now known as Alzheimer's disease. In the same way, older women who broke bones used to be called frail. Well, thank goodness we now know that these women may
Frail.
actually
Hear that,
have
women? Ladies out
osteoporosis
there?
because
And
osteoporosis
also another thing
is a
about older
disease
ladies
that
is
can
we know
be
that after
controlled.
menopause they don't
But
lose
before we
interest
talk
in
about
sexual
treatment
activity.
and
Angela
control,
Lansbury
let's
taught us
just
that.
look at why
I
osteoporosis
appreciate
happens.
that.
Now imagine
She taught us all kinds of things.
your bones are like the branches of a tree. When the tree's healthy, the structure of the wood is sound. Our branches are very strong. They can take a lot of pressure. But when the tree becomes unhealthy, the internal structure of the branch changes. It may become weak and brittle. Then a small load can break it. Bone is very similar. Bone is a fantastic
Whoa,
material.
They're doing that Jet Li
It's
thing.
not solid, as you might think, but it has a structure rather like
skeletons.
honeycomb. Light, flexible, and perhaps more extraordinary, renewable. In fact, your body turns
it's a
over your
renewable
entire
energy.
skeleton,
need
replaces
to
the
start
whole
using
lot
bones.
over a
What's
period
that
of
green
years.
stuff in the
A
background?
continuous process of
Energy.
replacement and renewal. The process involves the breaking
Maybe it's
down
gonna
of
lead into
old
the next one,
bone
which
by
is the top
special
bit.
cells which eat away the old bone tissue, forming tiny cavities. These cavities are then filled by other cells to form new, healthy bone.
Okay.
It's a balancing act to make sure you have new, healthy bone
I think
all
I
the
had an
time.
osteoblast for one of my
If
action
these two
figures when I was a kid.
processes aren't in balance, then more bone tissue may be broken down than can be renewed. This forms much bigger spaces within the bones, as you can see here, making them more fragile and more liable to
Beat's
break.
about to drop.
When does the balance go wrong? Well, a woman's bone mass is
Colours are
usually at
definitely
its
not
peak in the
vivid
late
with this
20s,
capture.
but from then on it very gradually declines and can become a particular problem around the
didn't really get
time of the
time to fuck with it
menopause.
today.
That's right.
The trouble is that the process can get progressively worse. In the most serious cases, up to 30% of a skeleton's bone mass may be lost. Now, the worst consequence of this is bone fracture, particularly a broken hip. And fractures can also occur in the wrist, the spine, and other bones in the body.
Yikes.
In fact, the early fractures can easily go undetected because they are often in the spine and cause a gradual loss in height before they are detected.
Is that why I'm so
In
short?
fact,
Maybe.
women can lose up to 10 centimetres or 4 inches in height as a result.
That looks like my
When
spines.
we're young, we're building bone. As the body grows, the
Mine
skeleton
didn't
grows
properly.
too, the frame on which we build muscle and sinew.
I like
You
that.
know how parents are always going on about their children eating this and that because it's good for their teeth and bones and things. Well, that's true, of course, but it holds true in later
course.
life as well. Young bones grow rapidly. From childhood, the skeleton
Do we need
grows
to know that this is
stronger
Australia?
and bigger
Why else are they in the
as the
bush?
body does. By the time we reach our late 20s,
probably requested
bones are at their best, strong, healthy and durable.
I
But
go for a walk every
for women
morning.
at
I guess I
menopause,
can do your
things begin
video
to
in
change. It's a time when the balance
catch me.
between bone loss and renewal can become a particular problem. If this happens, the result may be osteoporosis and
That just
fracture.
happened to be there.
Just 10% loss
thing we
of
had
bone
this.
density leaves you with twice the risk of a spinal fracture,
Whoa! Puzzle pieces.
more than twice the risk
There's
of a
only
hip
2
fracture.
puzzle pieces. That's
Fortunately,
it.
there is
That's
something
an
you can
easy
do
puzzle.
to reverse this progression of bone loss. This
Did they
is why
make that
you and your doctor
just
are tackling
For
the
this
problem.
video, they did because that's the
Fosamax.
brand of the medication.
Coupled with some
Didn't even
sensible
look like it fit
lifestyle
properly.
habits,
No.
Fosamax
Well, I
can
think the
go a
actual
long way
pieces
to
were sitting on top as
ensuring
well,
that
so
you
none of them
enjoy
fit.
your later years, leading an active life and maintaining your independence. So, how does it work, this Fosamax? Well, you'd have to
It
be an
doesn't.
osteoporosis specialist to answer that.
I mean, it does.
You look like
there
an
just happens
osteoporosis
to be one right
specialist.
here.
I am an osteoporosis specialist.
Oh,
What a
that's
coincidence.
handy.
Who is at risk of osteoporosis?
Well, I suppose you could say almost anyone, men or women, are at risk as they get older.
Who is at the highest risk?
Postmenopausal women, women who smoke, women who have a positive
Is that a
family
ski
history
jump?
of osteoporosis,
It
or
is.
women
It's
who
a
have
water
to
ski
take
jump.
certain drugs like prednisone.
Rad.
They're all at the highest
They
risk.
need to have people in
Tell me,
fact actually
how is
using
the
it.
diagnosis
fire
of
out.
osteoporosis
Because then they'll
made?
break their bones.
Well, in the old days, we
Yeah,
used
but
to
it's-
wait
it's
until
a
someone had
warning.
a fracture before we could make the diagnosis. Thankfully now, we can measure a person's
like a good
bone
nutty
density
shot.
using a special test.
We've got a bunch of
And
those
that tells
from,
us if the person
Melanie
has a
as well.
very low
Yeah.
bone density and therefore is at risk of going on to break a bone.
How does Fosamax work?
Well, there are 2 cells in your bones. One destroys bone and the other rebuilds it. Fosamax actually works on the one that destroys bone or eats it up.
How will Fosamax work for the patient?
Well, the end result is that we hope Fosamax will prevent fractures, perhaps by
Hey,
as much as
Fosamax again.
50%. But Fosamax hopefully is going to be
Yay.
a drug that has little in the way of side effects so that people will be able to take it to help prevent fractures in the future.
How should the patient take Fosamax?
Now that's very
Orally.
specific. It's important that the person take Fosamax first thing in the morning on an empty stomach with a full glass of plain water. They
Clean
should
water.
not lie down for at least 30 minutes after they've taken the tablet,
Oh,
nor should they have
man.
anything else, coffee, tea, or anything else to eat for at least 30
But I'll get
minutes.
tired.
For how long should the
I
patient
don't
take
drink coffee.
Fosamax?
Well, it's very important
shit
that
coffee drinkers.
it's taken on a daily basis. The drug works because it's taken on a daily basis. We really don't know whether the drug needs to be taken for the rest of your life or whether it will be a matter of 10 years or 15 years. We don't have the answer yet to that question.
What side effects should the patient be aware of?
I think the most important side effect would be the onset of any burning discomfort in the centre of the chest, indigestion-like pain, or the occurrence of any reflux of acid-like fluid up into the back of the mouth. That might indicate that the person was developing esophagitis or inflammation of the lower end of the gullet.
Sounds fun.
In that case, the tablet should be stopped
We
immediately,
should get some of these
and the
tablets.
person should contact their doctor.
Now, I suppose we've got to think about exercise here, but tell me, that doesn't mean we've got to go herring down to the gym, does it?
No, I doubt I'd get many of my patients to do that anyway. I think sensible forms of exercise, we talk about weight-bearing exercise.
Just
By that we
moving
mean
about your
walking.
house.
30 minutes of walking
vacuum.
3 to 5 times a week. And that can be any form of walking. It could include golf,
Usually I do more
tennis,
than that.
or anything.
I'll be safe.
Will you?
So, golf and tennis are fun.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, is there anything else you'd like to say to women taking or thinking of taking Fosamax?
Yes. It's never too late to consider
That's true in a
taking
post-go.
something for your
Yeah, my
osteoporosis.
wife had one of those and
You're
it
never
exploded.
too old.
All in her
Thank you.
insides
Yum, yum.
because she took
Wow.
too many anti-inflammatory.
You can run into
pills.
all sorts of people in the park these days. That was quite interesting, wasn't it? Anyway, back to the
That was
main
quite
point.
interesting.
Yeah, I bet
This
that was fun.
is
Whoa,
a female.
where'd you get that from?
Where
a
did you
leg
get
bone.
that?
You should probably
I
tell
borrowed it.
somebody if you found it out
Call
in
the
bush.
police.
Not much use to its owner now anyway. Brittle,
Oh.
like the unhealthy branches of a tree. But if we could help make it stronger again, what a
Ooh.
difference that would make.
We could put it back in.
Into the tree. Whoa! It's magic.
Magic.
What a difference. And that's what Fosamax can help do for
What a
your
difference.
bones. So if you do have a
Beautiful,
minor
man.
accident, you'll be less likely to suffer a fracture. And a fracture
That
can
sounds
be
like we're
a
about
real
to
problem.
wrap up, but we're only halfway.
I don't want to frighten
Sorry?
you, but let me
It
just
sounds
give you
like
some
we're about to wrap
figures.
up. We're only halfway.
In the case
I'm
of
gonna talk more
broken
about the drug.
hips,
We have to know.
which are the most serious of the common osteoporosis breaks,
Yeah.
one
They
out of
definitely
5
don't
women
lie.
may die because of complications. 1 out of 4 may need long-term care. And 1 out of 3 may never be as independent as she was before the fracture.
Where did they get these photos from?
That's what it's all about,
Pick 'em up at
really.
the thrift shop?
Independence. Nobody wants to have to rely on others all the time because
Oh,
you
I
can't
love to.
get
Put me at
dressed
home.
without help. Go
No,
shopping,
a village.
things
A
like
village
that.
is kind of like being in a
If we
home,
can
but you
keep
get a
our
little bit
poor
more
old
freedom.
bones healthy,
Uh-huh.
Okay.
we
Put me
have
home.
much
Just
less
give me a room.
chance of being
Bring
laid
me
up
dinner.
in hospital with a broken hip or
Let
back
me have my
or
Puda.
wrist.
We can do take
And
time
we
in
have
there.
more chance
Oh, that's
of
what
being
villages do.
able to
They
live
bring
the
you your
sort
dinner
of life
and
we
clean
want
up
to.
after you, but you get your own little
I must
fancy
say, in
thing.
my
As long as
case,
I've got my own
that
toilet,
means being
Yeah.
able to enjoy
I don't care.
a good
Just give me a
long
room with a
walk.
toilet.
I'm lucky. I
don't
don't
need
have
that much space.
osteoporosis.
She doesn't even have osteoporosis.
What are you
Why is she-
doing here?
Introduce you
Why
to
is she
someone
telling
who
us all
has,
about this?
and who has managed it successfully through good care.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor just for a routine physical examination,
Whoa.
and they diagnosed osteoporosis.
What is she doing with her leg
Well,
back
I
there?
must have been, 57 at the time, and I'm a dancer, and I thought I might have to give up dancing. But dancing's my
No.
life, and I just don't know where I'd be without it.
With no life.
I was very fortunate that my doctor sent me for a bone scan when
Touch.
he did, because they
You're
discovered
it.
I was at risk of fractures. So
Tag.
they were able to start
You're
treatment immediately to stop it going any further. But really, I
They're gonna
think I
need
was
to
one of the
invest
lucky
in like
ones.
a bag holder.
Imagine still being fit enough to
Piled
teach
up on the
dance
ground.
when you're on the way to 70. But you know, there's a lot we can do to be more like her, and not just by taking
We can learn how to
Fosamax.
dance.
There are a few other things you can do to help.
This sounds fun.
Something smells good, which reminds me, diet. Now what we need is someone who
colour?
I
knows
thought
about
she was going to say
food.
dying.
Oh, yeah.
Seek and ye shall
colour?
find. Isn't life marvellous? Imagine being able to summon up a cook like Ian
What up,
Parmenter,
Luigi?
just like that. Ian, you look marvellously healthy.
pretending
Thanks very
to
much,
cook
Ruth. I'm feeling
pasta.
amazingly healthy, I have to say.
What's the secret?
Well, it's very simple. It's basically common sense.
guy isn't
I look
Huey, I
for
don't
a
wanna listen
balanced
to him.
diet.
His name
I
is
think we all need
Ian
to, especially as we
something.
get a bit older. What that means is looking at our food groups, carbohydrates,
I
pasta,
recognise
such as
him
I have
from
here
the
today,
TV,
rice and bread. We should all eat more of that because it's really good food and it's
Ian
not fattening. People thought, oh yes,
Parmenter.
these things are fattening. They're not. It's when you add things to them that they become fattening.
Yeah.
Lean meat.
He's
Chicken
still alive
with the skin
today.
taken off. Eggs and nuts should be eaten in moderation. The nuts you should get without salt. Dairy products. We should be looking for low-fat dairy products, so we reduce the overall fat intake while keeping the calcium there that our bones need. Pulses are very good. Lentils and dried beans, terrific food. Vegetables, of course, we can't eat too many vegetables.
Because
And it's
they
nice to
put
barbecue them like this or to
455
steam them to
minute
keep in
programs.
a lot of the goodness. Fruit, of
Programs
course,
that went for
ideally fresh fruit,
455
cut
minutes
fruit,
long?
or even canned fruit, but it's best to
Wow.
get canned fruit that's in natural juices and not in thick sugar syrup. Or
Only
dried
if you
fruit.
watch
Dried
all
fruit is terrific,
450 of them.
but remembering that the drying process does concentrate the sugar, whereas you might eat 2 plums,
that
probably
makes
half a
sense.
dozen prunes. Now, there are special considerations for people either
you watch
with
a bit-
osteoporosis,
There you
protein and caffeine.
That might make
Now,
more
with the
sense.
protein, the chicken, the meat, the eggs, we should really serve no more than 2 helpings a day. With
No
caffeine,
protein
here we're
for
looking
you.
at beverages. It's not just coffee,
This sounds
tea as
like
well, and
a
cola drinks, maybe
bad
4
advice
servings
from
a day,
before we
and
decided
that's
to
about as
actually
much
look into
as we
it.
should really have.
Well, back
Now,
back
drinking,
when,
we have now found out
fat
that
was
the
the enemy.
occasional glass of wine with a meal is actually beneficial to our health. 6 to 8 glasses a day
Also,
of water we should be
Drink
drinking.
6 to 8 glasses.
I know
of
that sounds
wine.
like a lot, but that
Oh,
really
water.
is something that we should think about doing more of, and I'm as guilty as the next person not drinking that water, but I should be doing so. Now, I'll just serve you a little of this wonderful pasta, good
Oh,
carbohydrate.
yummy.
And
That's her
possibly,
own. Well,
well, you
is she
have
going
that.
to
I might
try
toast you.
eating the pasta, or will she just hold it for
Ruth,
the shot?
bon appetit.
No,
She
not
ain't gonna
eating
eat
that
that.
shit.
I enjoyed that.
You didn't even
Nothing
taste
like a
it.
lovely walk in the bush. Now, I suspect
looking
you're
at him
going to
like,
say that
"Can I
this
have the
next
wine
bit is just
instead?"
common sense, safety at home. But really, being conscious of it is not such a bad idea. Do you know that many slips, trips and falls actually occur in the home? So checking for
We should
risks
learn how to be safe
is a
in
good
that line.
idea. Let me give you a few examples. Put non-slip mats on slippery floors, a rubber mat in the shower or bath, and a handrail. Under no circumstances should you lift heavy weights.
Have you ever seen
Stand on
one
chairs
of,
to
what's
reach high
underneath one of
places.
those
Get
rubber
someone
mats?
else to help you
They
change.
get pretty
Light
gross
bulbs, for
after a
example.
while.
A while.
And keep an eye out for cords from appliances
Oh
like
man, I haven't seen a
vacuum
vacuum
cleaners.
cleaner like that in a
Oh,
while.
one more thing. If you get up
It looked
during
like
the
a
night,
spaceship
make sure
or a
to
bus.
turn on a light so you don't trip
But it-
over.
Plugging in
That's
your
some
vacuum
retro
You know
cleaner.
as
shit
well as
right
I
there.
do what can
Vacuum
trip you
cleaner's
up, but I
plugged
wonder
in
if you
like-
stop to think about it.
That's
Well, you
ridiculous.
should,
It's
you
like
know.
plugging in your lawnmower.
There's no point in
Like,
having strong hips and then
so annoying.
falling over and breaking your neck. And if you've had children around, be especially careful. They never tidy
they
up
play
properly,
marbles.
even if they say they have. You don't want them being responsible for putting you in hospital. So,
Yeah.
you see
real
what I
talk.
mean about osteoporosis? It isn't something to be scared of.
Yes,
It
is.
isn't something that's an inevitable part of
Click.
getting older.
Why did you click that?
Fosamax and a few lifestyle tips can help manage or avoid it.
Oh, don't
Of
go that
course,
close to the camera.
Fosamax,
We can see
like
that you're
any other
reading.
medicine, has to be taken in the proper way if it's to do its job properly for
Better
you.
at reading than we are.
Fortunately, that's pretty simple.
I never claimed
One
to be
tablet a
good.
day,
Yeah, no,
first thing
yeah.
every morning,
Yeah, look,
taken
the
with a
picture on
full
the box is
glass
the
of
same
plain
picture as what's
water,
on our box.
at least half an hour before
That's a
your
small
first
VHS.
food, beverage or
Yeah,
other medicine
tiny.
of the day. Timing is
Must be one of
important
them C's.
Maybe
because
it's just a
food or
reel.
drink
That's the
lessens the effect
VHS.
of Fosamax and, of course, reduces the benefit. It really must be taken on an empty stomach. And make sure you don't lie down for at least half an hour after you take
the
the
water.
tablet.
Don't just hold
This
it.
will make sure that the tablet reaches your stomach quickly and help avoid any
Yeah, I'm starting to
irritation
wonder if
to
she's
your
actually human
esophagus.
because I haven't seen her drink any
That's
water
the tube
or
that
eat
takes the
anything
food from
since
your
it
mouth to your
started.
stomach.
Yeah, they offered her like some
And
chef
please
made.
make sure you
fettuccine.
follow your
Robot
doctor's
test?
instructions and talk to
Time
for
for
or
the
her
robot
if you have
Time
any
for the robot
questions.
test.
Merck, Sharp and Dome, the makers of Fosamax, hope you've enjoyed
Check
and
the remote,
learned something important
batteries.
from this video. I know I've
Yeah.
enjoyed bringing it to you.
They're missing.
Please remember that with the efforts of your doctor, Fosamax and you've got a partnership which can really do something about osteoporosis. Talk to your doctor, follow his or her directions, make a few sensible changes to your lifestyle, and you'll be on your way to building yourself a healthier, more independent future.
Nice. And the bumper.
Drip.
Drippy, drippy, medical bumper. I love it when drug companies sponsor videos. Got a pile of them now. That's it. That's our first
the end?
video. Yes. But yeah, celebrity videos, I'm not sure if they still do them like that.
I hope they do.
Yeah. Their celebrities need to get some money while, like, their characters being killed off in Home and Away or whatever.
Out of curiosity, where did you get this?
Oh.
Was that a hard rubbish?
No, I got that in a box of VHS.
Oh.
So somebody accidentally, like, lost their award.
Aww.
Aww.
Alright, what next?
What do you want next? Doesn't really matter which way we do them, I suppose.
I just kind of want the boring one next so we can end on a high.
Alright, so, did anyone place any bets? No one placed any bets. If you're playing on catch-up instead of live, we'll see which one the boring one is by me saying it's the toxic shock syndrome one.
I knew it!
Yeah,
it
you
sounded
win.
so exciting!
It's so bad. So I'll
sounded so goddamn exciting, and I just knew it. I knew that it had to be that one.
So this video, it says toxic shock syndrome, the facts, like they've named an actual video, and it's got a nice cover. Like, I mean, it's just sticky tape on a cardboard. So what this is there's an Australian lady saying, here's some information we have on toxic shock, and then it cuts to an American researcher telling it about toxic shock, and then it cuts back to her going, and that's what we've learned. Bye. But she's like had to get dressed in a suit, put a lapel mic on. There's a sign in the back of her that's got this little.
She probably did like
thing.
30 of them in a day, and just introduced like 30
Well, that's
videos.
what I wanted to know, so I emailed her. She works in Melbourne at the Royal Women's Hospital. She does research there. I emailed her, and her email did that reply thing where she's not in office just for this week. I'm like, come on. So
sometimes we get lucky, like with the didgeridoo guy. Sometimes we don't get lucky.
The thing is, if she gets back to me, and I organize something to talk to her, I can just present it next time because we've got a whole bunch of medical tapes.
That's true.
But yeah, I asked her, like, what's the deal? Why did you do this like 5-minute bumper bookend thing? Why did that happen? Explain yourself, lady.
She was probably paid to do it, honestly.
Well, of course, but like, yeah.
And if you're offered money to do something like that.
Oh, it doesn't look like it's rewound. That's great.
Oh, hooray.
Good for me.
Well done.
What a jerk.
Yeah, that's so rude. Yeah, it's automatically rewinding. Look at that.
Oh. How can I? Yeah. Why is it not rewinding?
Interesting.
Is it jammed? Do I have to pull it out and stick my finger in it? Oh, there it goes.
Okay.
Alright. Now, the reason why the last one is exciting is because it has actual demonstrations of babies getting needles.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see that again.
That's exciting, isn't it? People love watching babies get needles.
I don't, because I had to watch my kid get them, and he was a goddamn sook.
Well,
Bigger sook than I am.
That's the thing. Like, I didn't say exciting meant good. It just meant, not some guy
like
sitting
doctors.
down and talking shit for 20 minutes.
My boy does not like doctors.
No?
No. Oh, we're tracking.
Tracking. Wait, does yours do that tracking thing, or is that on the tape?
Yeah, it does it.
That's right then. Because I have seen a couple of tapes that we've had where that's actually been on the tape.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Must be on the recording then.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sue Garland, and on behalf
What's up,
of the
Sue?
Toxic Shock Syndrome Information
still
Service,
working?
I
Yeah,
would
she's
like
still
to
she does
introduce you
research
to
in the
this
women's.
video,
Oh, there we go.
Toxic Shock
This is-
Syndrome,
in
the
Melbourne.
facts.
It's all
Now,
there.
Toxic Shock Syndrome, or TSS, is a relatively uncommon entity, but a very serious one when it occurs.
Did you know anything
Early
about
diagnosis
TSS?
is
Not really, no.
important.
So I'm about
The
to learn.
condition is
Good.
treatable,
Basically, this
and the purpose of the information service
elderly man's going to
is
talk to you about
alert
tampons
you
for 20 minutes.
to
Fantastic.
the early
Should be
symptoms.
exciting.
They
Um,
are
It's not.
high
Yeah,
fevers,
look.
low blood pressure.
As soon as you said it
patient may
cuts to an
notice
American,
faintness,
Yep.
a
it's
sunburn
like,
rash, and
Yeah,
other
Americans
organ
are
That's gonna be
iffy
dry.
about that
such
kind of
as
stuff in the
muscle
first place.
pains
So
That's
or
gonna be dry.
diarrhea.
we get no demonstrations,
I'd like
no
to
pretty
introduce
graphics of
an
they going
expert in
in
the
or
field,
Yeah,
Professor
any
no.
of that. Nothing.
Patrick Schlievert from
at
the
least that means we
University
can
of
show it, I
Minnesota,
suppose.
one of the key scientists who identified
It was a
the
cartoon.
toxin
Yeah,
related
I'm
to
just
toxic
trying.
shock
Oh,
syndrome,
maybe. Probably
now
not.
known as TSS T1.
It
Here
was
we
a
go.
badly drawn vagina on a piece of paper.
Toxic shock syndrome is
that, Pat?
an
Get used
acute
to this show.
onset or a rapid onset disease caused by Staphylococcus aureus. And it's not all Staphylococcus strains. It's
That's my
strains
favorite
that make
dinosaur.
a particular toxin. And in
Staphylococcus
particular, the
aureus?
toxin we know as toxic shock syndrome toxin. That would be the major toxin. Now, more recently, we also identify streptococcal toxic shock syndrome caused by the group A strep, which is the same organism that causes the strep sore throat. In this particular case,
That's from going down on
that
people, right?
strep has picked up
Whoops.
a toxin that's related to the staph toxin, and so giving it the ability to cause toxic shock syndrome as well.
The end.
Yay.
Well, toxic shock syndrome is defined by
Static shock.
5 criteria. If you have all 5, you have a definite case of toxic shock syndrome. If you're missing 1, you have a probable case, and if you're missing 2, you have a possible case. So the symptoms are a high fever, and it's usually greater than 102 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's a high fever, a red scarlet fever-like rash or a sunburn-like rash. That would be number 2.
At least
A
there's
third would
flowers
be
in
if
the
the patient
background.
survives the
You're out of
skin
focus,
peels.
though.
And then hypotension or shock would be the 4th. And then the 5th would be a variable multi-organ component. And you need to have 3 of these. And they include vomiting and diarrhea would be 1, reddening of mucous membranes, liver enzyme changes, urinary tract shutdown, hematologic disturbances, in other words, low platelet levels. Combativeness or confusion would be considered a central nervous system component. So you can have any 3 of those, and that then make up
Oh,
the
but
5
there's 6.
criteria.
Can I get a 2 for deal? Get all 6 of them?
I mean, that would be bad, I think.
Staphylococcus
Maybe.
aureus causes
Double
toxic
toxic
shock
shock.
syndrome. But it's not all
Super
Staphylococcus
toxic.
aureus. It's staph that
Toxic
made a
Avengers
toxin we know
syndrome.
as toxic shock syndrome toxin, or TSST1, as we call it. And that causes all
that's
of
a
the
little
menstrual-related
too R-rated
toxic
for this
shock
show. You
syndrome.
have to say toxic
Toxic
crusader.
shock
Go to the
syndrome can
cartoon
be
round.
divided into menstrual and non-menstrual.
I refuse.
Menstrual makes up about 60% of all cases. Okay, and that's all caused by TSST1. Non-menstrual is caused by, half of it's caused by TSST1, and half is caused by staph enterotoxins B and C.
Yeah.
Can we please have the lady who did
Toxic shock
the
syndrome,
start
when it was first
interject and
described,
say
was-
what he's
was
saying
an
here is
uncommon
because he's
disease,
using
but it was not
doctor
rare.
jargon.
Exactly.
The-
Like,
at
who's
that time,
watching
it was
this?
thought to
It says
be
the
about
facts.
1 in 10,000.
Is this for doctors or for patients?
Individuals. When the high absorbency or
Information
superabsorbent
Services
tampons were
Educational
removed
Initiative
from
funded
market,
by Australia's
the
leading
incidence
tampon
dropped to about 1 in
suppliers.
100,000.
So if
making
it's
it
for
pretty rare.
from the tampon suppliers, I'd assume that this is for normal
Toxic
people,
shock
not
syndrome is
doctors.
characterized by those 5 symptoms that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that
typical
doctors,
case of
you're not
toxic shock
normal.
syndrome would
Yeah, you're
occur
not
on
normal.
day 3 to 4
You
of the
know
menstrual
what he's
period.
talking about.
Now, prior to that time,
Nerds.
there is a rapid, or no, sorry, a
Nerds.
slow progression of development of symptoms. So patients would have vomiting and diarrhea. They'd have achy
Diarrhea?
muscles,
Cha-cha-cha.
sore joints. They'd begin to feel weak. And these would get steadily
some
worse
buckets
until
coming
about
soon,
the
by the
3rd
way.
or 4th day of the
The
menstrual
diarrhea
period
made
when
you
you
think
have
of that.
the abrupt
Diarrhea.
onset of development of high fever, hypotension, the presence of a red rash.
I'm pretty excited for
and
it.
particularly development of hypotension and the
Beavis and Butthead in space.
fever
Yeah.
would clue you in that your patient
Oh, wait.
I
should
like
be considered
space.
as
Oh,
possibly
wait.
having toxic
Give me
shock
now.
syndrome. The red rash
Gimme.
is sometimes difficult to see in people that have dark skin. It's also fleeting in other
What?
people. Once you have that
was
constellation
that?
of symptoms occurring, then you can begin to do blood
you hear what he
tests,
just said?
et cetera,
It's
to
fleeting?
fill out the rest of the
Before
criteria.
that.
Oh, but dark
Now,
skin.
it's important to remember that when
Apparently the rash
you're,
lasts
you're
longer
diagnosing
on people with dark
toxic
skin.
It's hard
shock
to see,
syndrome,
I think
that
he said.
that this is also a
Oh.
disease of exclusion.
But then he said
You need to
in other
exclude
people's
other
fleeting.
diseases. Some other illnesses that you should exclude are streptococcal toxic shock syndrome, caused by the group A strep.
Should I edit
Now,
this
that,
down to just the
disease
big
would
long
also
words?
occur during the menstrual period.
Streptococcal.
In
He said
menstruating women.
Menstruation. Diarrhea.
Likewise, gram-negative shock.
That's the other reason I
would be
thought of
another
Beavis and
illness
Butthead, because that's kind of the stuff
could
they do.
be
He said,
mistaken
"Oh."
for toxic shock syndrome. They
That's
overlap
basically what
in
we
many
do.
ways.
Entertainers, Amos. Oh, yeah.
And sometimes drug allergies, drug hypersensitivities look like toxic shock syndrome. And I think those would be the three big ones that you'd have to rule out.
How do you
You'd-
treat toxic
You
shock
dig a
syndrome?
hole
Well, the
and you
treatment
bury
of,
them in
of
it.
toxic shock syndrome
So it doesn't
is if
spread.
a woman is, if this is a menstruating woman, then you remove.
We didn't ask you to
the tampon.
specify.
And you know,
What if
assuming
it's not a
that she was
menstruating
using
woman?
a tampon. If
What if it's a guy who
if
used
it's
a
a
tampon?
patient that has toxic shock syndrome
Yikes.
that results from an abscess or something like that, which can, by the way, be very difficult to find, you need to drain that abscess. You need to
Ugh.
give antibiotics.
Man, this could have been
most
all
staph
sorts
aureus
of
that
cool
cause
and
toxic
gross,
shock
but instead
syndrome
we just have
are
to listen
resistant
to
to
him talk
penicillin
about
and
it.
ampicillin.
Yeah.
I
And
want to
so
see
you
an
need to
abscess
give,
being drained.
That would be
say a
interesting.
cephalosporin or
I'm sure we've got
nafcillin,
something like that in the
diphloxacillin,
rest of the
something
pile. We
on
did
that
get
order.
quite a lot of medical
And then fluid
tapes.
and electrolytes to maintain
We also
blood
showed
pressure.
boobs in like our second episode.
We could watch the massage video if you want to show more boobs.
Yikes!
Because that is awkward
The
as
relationship
shit.
between
Yikes.
tampon absorbency and toxic shock syndrome, as I mentioned earlier, is that the higher the absorbency,
They were man
the
boobs.
greater the risk of
They were not
developing
man
toxic shock
It's
syndrome.
funny that we were really
Now, in
planning
the
to
early
do that, like to
1980s,
watch
the
that
very
massage
high
one. And you were like,
absorbency
oh,
super
oh.
tampons were removed from the market.
Ew,
So we
it
don't
got-
have
Red
to
alert,
worry
we
about
can't
those
watch that.
anymore. But we
Black
still
flag,
have
everybody out of the
tampons that
water.
have varying
Yeah.
degrees of absorbency. And some people ask, well, what is the explanation for the absorbency? Why is it a predictor of development of toxic shock syndrome? And my laboratory
You know,
put
at least
forward
he's saying
a
helpful
theory
stuff,
which has
unlike the
become
guy a couple
accepted
weeks back.
one, that
It's
the
going to
bigger
be
the tampon, the
affecting
more
your
oxygen
performance in
trapped.
these shows for
And,
the next
when
couple
that
of months.
changed
tampon
me.
then
That video
becomes
changed
inserted,
me. It made me more
takes that
angry.
trapped
And less
oxygen and
rich.
puts it into the vagina.
It didn't really
The
do anything
vagina
to me
is
being less
normally
rich.
an anaerobic environment, so it's
But
an
it-
environment
you
without
know.
air. And
It made me very
Staphylococcus
frustrated
aureus,
that human
the
beings
bacterium
like that are
causes
allowed to
toxic shock
exist.
syndrome, can grow in the presence or in the absence of air, but it only makes the toxin in the presence of air. So what the tampon is doing is providing that source of oxygen that allows the staph to then make the toxin. So again, a very small tampon won't introduce very much oxygen, and therefore would have a very
I
low
love
risk
being
associated
told about
with
my
it
vagina
for
by a
developing
middle-aged
TSS.
man with
As
a
you go up to
mustache.
the higher
He's
absorbency
knowledgeable.
ones, then you
About my
introduce
vagina.
more air
Of
and you
course.
pick up more risk.
My
Okay,
vagina.
and that's why I've said
Vagina.
that women should use the lowest absorbency tampon they can to control their menstrual flow.
What is the difference between cotton, rayon, and all cotton tampons in relation to the risk of toxic shock syndrome? I mean, that lady could have at least
in the
read
United
those bits
States,
for us.
when the
Pretended to give an
in 1984, when
interview.
the
Naughty
really
shots.
high
So many naughty
absorbency
shots.
tampons, the ones that had the polyacrylate rayons, and then before that, Rely tampon were removed from the market. There was a significant drop in the number of cases of toxic shock syndrome. And the basis for their being removed was that the tri-state study, which is the gold standard study,
tell you what,
the
if
best
this
study
lady
that's
gets
ever
back
been
at me,
done,
I'm gonna
that was
have
done in
so
our
much
part
at
of
her.
the United States, Minnesota,
I'm
Iowa,
gonna ask
and
her all
Wisconsin,
of these questions.
showed
She's
that
gonna be like,
the risk of developing toxic shock syndrome correlates with the
leave me
absorbency of the
alone.
tampon.
I don't even
not
remember
so
doing
much
it.
with what the product is made of.
I was
so
at
the
work, and they're
composition-
like, "Can you just
so
sit here and
risk
read this
of
for a
TSS
second?"
is independent of composition of tampon fibers, so it doesn't matter whether it's cotton.
Don't ask her how much she
cotton
was
rayon.
paid. I think that's
what matters
Is it?
more
I've
is the
heard.
absorbency.
What if I ask how old she is? Is toxic shock syndrome associated with leaving a tampon in too long? Yes, don't leave it in overnight.
Well, that's a really interesting question on whether toxic shock is associated with leaving a tampon in too long. Again, the tri-state study, which did the best study of this,
Tri-state
showed that
area
women that get
loves
toxic
studying
shock syndrome
tampon usage.
actually change their tampons slightly more frequently than
is the
people that do
tri-state
not
area?
get toxic shock syndrome.
What is the tri-state area
now,
anyway?
armed with that information, the Centers for Disease
Wisconsin?
Control recommended that
tri-state
women
area?
leave tampons
It's
in
Wisconsin.
place
Yeah, they make cheese
from
there.
2 to
I don't
6
know.
or 7 hours. In other words, change them approximately what they were doing before, rather than okay. That would suggest what I just said is that you don't want to change them real frequently, because that might even just increase your risk more.
I don't even know where Seattle
and likewise,
is.
I think
dreary,
you want to avoid really long
That's
periods
where
of
Fraser
time.
moved to.
And
after he
for
left,
example, that's why the Centers for
wherever
Disease
Cheers
Control
was set.
recommended not using a tampon.
Tri-state
overnight.
area. Google.
What advice do you suggest doctors giving their patients regarding tampon use?
How I would advise a physician on what to tell their patients regarding the use of
Wait,
of
what?
tampons.
There's multiples?
First, it's easy.
There's
If a
multiple
woman has
tri-state
had
areas.
toxic shock syndrome, she should not use tampons.
They like
According
building.
to this,
She
there's...
should
They
not
like putting
use them
buildings
at
right
least
in the
until
middle
she
of 3
finds out
different
if she
states.
has
So wait,
a significant
is-
level of
Does
antibody
that...
to
Does it
toxic
mean
shock
like
syndrome
a part
toxin.
where 3
If she
states
has
meet?
that antibody,
Yeah, that's where
then
they
she would
build
be
a building.
protected and
It's
it
called the
wouldn't
tri-state
matter.
area building.
But 85%
Yeah, 3
of
adjoining
patients that
states.
get
I thought
toxic
the
shock
tri-state
syndrome
area
do
was a
not
specific
develop
3
antibody.
states that like
So
are busy with
85%
something.
remain susceptible.
Oh, never mind.
So those people definitely should not be using tampons. Now, for the others, he or she, the physician.
Why do Americans go to do things so
once
confusing like?
the
I know,
woman
right?
says,
Like,
I would like to
they have to
continue
call
using
themselves the
tampons, what would you
USA, but then they
recommend?
like cut themselves
I
down
would say
to
to him,
US, but
recommend
that just
they
means
use the lowest
states.
absorbance
And they
agents
call
and
themselves
control
the
their
states.
menstrual
Like,
I
every
got a
country
bunch
has
of
know
states.
what
shows
the
for
symptoms
me and
of
Tori to
toxic
watch,
shock
because we like
syndrome are,
watching
in
all
case
those
they
silly
come
ghost
on.
shows and
Know
all
what the
those
telltale
like
signs are.
cryptid
In
shows
other
and
words,
that kind of
high
thing.
fever
Like,
and
there was
the
one that
development
was
of dizziness,
that had an episode
particularly
called
upon standing.
America's
And,
Bermuda
and-
Triangle,
and if
and it
that
was about
happens,
like
then you
another
go to see a
mysterious
physician.
triangle somewhere in the
And
USA.
What I say
Is it in
today is don't
Wisconsin?
go in and say, is there something wrong?
That'd be over near
with
Jersey,
you?
Where is-
which is where
Go
the
and say,
Jersey Devil comes
do
out.
I
Right?
Where
have
is the
toxic
Bermuda
shock
Triangle?
syndrome? Ask the physician. Do I have
It's
this?
in
Because that
Hawaii,
might help
isn't it?
keep him-
I don't
Nope.
know.
keep him in on it.
It's South
Central America.
I
And
thought it was South America.
finally, is
It's central.
Okay.
to avoid using
In Bermuda,
tampons
right?
overnight.
Near the
particularly,
Bahamas.
For
Yeah,
that
pretty much. So it is more to the south.
Pretty
but
mama.
hour period it is.
technically,
Thank you
USA
for
is
your
50
interest.
independent
Should
countries
you
that
have
make a
any
union.
further queries about toxic shock syndrome,
They're not,
please
though.
don't hesitate to
They say they
contact
are.
the TSSIS or Toxic Shock Syndrome Information Service.
The end. He talked through the whole second half about vaginas.
Yeah,
He got pretty boring.
there's only so much vagina I can talk about.
Toxic Shock Syndrome Information Service is directed by a panel of independent scientific medical experts. It was formed to provide the public and medical communities information on... Okay, so it is the public and medical. It's made for both. But still, it was not exciting enough for either, to be honest. But it was done by Johnson & Johnson. They make shampoo.
And the worst COVID vaccine.
Uh-huh.
So they say in Apostrophe, but like, what would happen if they were like, yeah, we're independent?
Then it would be like Cuba, where everyone forgot that they existed because they would write them out of every bit
No,
of
there would be a
information.
fucking war where they'd get invaded and be brought back in. That doesn't sound like a country to me. That sounds like one of those like pseudo states, kind of like how Russia claims all that territory that they've got,
Yeah.
but there's little countries and they're like, nah, but we're not.
What about like the Canberra? Isn't that its own country?
Sorry,
Canberra.
no.
They try to be like their own state, and like they're just a little city.
Yeah, that's the ACT.
Ridiculous. I don't like it.
Pretty dumb.
Right. So the last videotape for today is the Wyeth-Ledurian vaccines immunization techniques. A bunch of different
Australian version.
the Australian version, because it's got Australians getting jabbed in it.
Cool.
Mainly from Adelaide, but there's been some like other places around in there as well. That one rewound? Yeah, rewound. Enough anyway. Yeah. But yes, Most of this video is about jabbing kids.
Cool.
Look at that little spinny logo.
Yes, as I was saying,
Immunising a
can you
child
imagine
not only protects that
any of
child,
them,
but other
any of the
children as
states
well,
trying to, like,
thereby
declare
providing population
independence?
protection.
If you have to
It is
declare
vital that
independence to be
healthcare
seen as
professionals
separate,
take
then you're not
every
country.
available opportunity to immunise children, regardless of the reason for the visit. It is therefore important to check the child's immunisation history, preferably by assessing a written immunisation record, before deciding which vaccine to administer. Because rapid scientific and
Well, I call them
technological
knitted
advances contribute to regular scheduled changes, this video will not cover the
Comfy, but a
current
little bit
schedule.
itchy.
You will need to refer to the most recent edition of your immunisation handbook.
You kidding? This is like so.
This
up to
video
date.
will focus on the following key areas: pre-immunisation
year it's from?
preparation, routes, needle gauge, length and angle, positioning and location of vaccination sites, administration techniques, and documentation.
Play the soundbite again.
Parents or caregivers and children need privacy and a comfortable, non-threatening environment when they come to the clinical practice. When
Won't work
working
with
with
my
children,
kid.
be aware of their
He sees a
age and
doctor and
stage
he's
of
like,
development. Recognise that the
did
parent
that
or
to me this
caregiver,
morning.
as
I'm
well
not
as the
even-
It wasn't-
child,
it wasn't quite
may
as
be
bad
very
with you.
anxious. Where possible, avoid preparing the vaccine in front of the parent or an older child. Reassurance of children and their parents or caregivers can be achieved by effective communication, which can be reinforced by touch and tone of voice. Make sure that the parent or caregiver feels comfortable about holding the child for injections. Ensure the parent or caregiver understands what is expected of them and what will take place. Standard infection control procedures and occupational health
what
and
the worst
safety
one I got
guidelines
was?
What?
When I
must
got my
be
flu
followed at
vax.
all
Yeah.
times
I
to
got it with
minimise the
Jackson.
risk of harm to the
We got it the same,
vaccinator
like, on the
and
same day at the
others.
same appointment, right?
Gloves are
He
not
got his done
required for
first.
vaccinators
And he was so
unless there is
miserable
a
after
risk
it,
of
I had to, like,
exposure
hold
to
him still, and he was,
potentially
like,
infectious
shaking when I
body
got mine.
fluids, or the
And it really
vaccinator has
fucking
open
sucked.
lesions on their
Tear
hands.
some ligaments.
Vaccinators need the appropriate facilities
It was
for the
painful.
correct transport,
I'll say that
storage, handling, and disposal of
I want a
vaccines
fridge
and
with a-
associated
With a
equipment.
lock on it.
Be prepared to
Whoa, what is that?
recognise
Just take
and
that one.
manage adverse events, including anaphylaxis.
Wait, what is that?
The vaccinator must also be prepared to use
What
a
is that?
translator
No,
or
not
other
that.
communication
She had a box
assistance
with like
if
a
it is required.
gas cylinder on the
It
bottom.
is important that an accurate and detailed history
portable
be
fridge.
taken to
I guess
assess the
that-
child's
that
reaction to
might be
previous
like,
vaccinations.
Um,
The vaccinator should also assess for
Might have, like, a mask
contraindications to
attached
the
to it.
specific vaccines which are to be administered.
oxygen or whatever.
The recommended procedures for obtaining valid consent from the parent or caregiver must be completed prior to
Valid.
immunisation.
Got it.
The funny thing about
It is
the
important
consent
to give
is,
the
do you
parent
know
or
how, like,
caregiver
for
take-home
COVID
information
vaccines, I
about
probably
common
shouldn't say this.
reactions
You know
and
how
what
the
to do
COVID
about
vaccines,
them.
at least at first, they
The
were like,
vaccinator
yeah, you
should
need to
also
sign this
inform the
paperwork
parent
to
or
say you give
caregiver
permission.
about
When I got my
precautions
second
following
one done,
specific vaccinations.
yeah, I think
For
my second
example,
one.
OPV.
Maybe it was even my
A
third one. I
contact
can't remember.
number
Either way,
should also be
they were like,
provided
yeah, you need to
in
print out
case
this
more
form
severe
and,
reactions
and,
occur.
like, sign it. And I was like, okay, then I'll have that done by the time I come in, because I was like scheduled to get it like in the afternoon. So Tori was going to
All the injectable vaccines on the current recommended immunisation schedule can be administered by deep intramuscular injection. However,
come get it done
measles,
now, and I was
mumps,
like,
rubella,
oh,
or
I'd love to,
MMR
but I like
vaccine
don't have the
can also
consent
be
form. And they were
administered
like,
by the
we want
subcutaneous
to tell
route.
if you don't.
Oral polio vaccine, or OPV, is always given
Okay.
by mouth.
That's fine.
Palpate the muscle mass to assess muscle size in order to decide the depth of insertion of the needle.
What is she eating?
Most vaccines need to be deposited into the deep intramuscular region. Short
That's
needles
why it
increase the
hurts
risk of
afterwards.
inadvertent injection of vaccine
Avoid
into the
short
subcutaneous layer. This is especially a risk for inactivated vaccines. In nearly all cases, the needle size should be 23 gauge and 25 millimetres in length.
See, now
There
this is
are,
a
of
more
course,
excitingly
exceptions to this
presented
rule.
video, but it is
For
obviously
very
for the
small
doctors,
infants or
not for the-
preterm
It's also
babies 2
generating,
months or
like,
under, use
more
either a
interesting
23
conversation.
gauge needle, 25 millimetres
Yeah,
in length,
but like this is
or
for
a
the doctors and
26
it's
gauge
entertaining,
needle,
but the one that
16
was meant to be
millimetres
for
in length.
people as well was just
For subcutaneous
Drill.
injections,
Just a dude talking.
use a 26 gauge needle, 16 millimetres in length. For subcutaneous injections of
even
very
put
small
the
babies,
picture on a
a
slight angle
27
for us to
gauge
make it more
needle,
interesting.
12 millimetres in length, can be used. Needle length is more critical than the angle of insertion for
And look at
subcutaneous
the feathering
injection.
around the
While the
with the
insertion
needles
angle
picture.
of
Like,
45
that's art.
degrees is recommended, the needle should
Get
never
that
be
on a
longer
t-shirt.
than 16 millimetres, or inadvertent intramuscular injection could result.
Uh-oh.
For very obese adults, a 23 gauge needle, 38 millimetres in
Very.
length, can be used for intramuscular
Yay.
injections.
That's a medical term, very.
Very obese.
For intramuscular injection,
Do you know
the
that I'm
appropriate
like
length needle should be inserted at
on
an
the-
angle of
on the-
45 to
the
60
doorstep of
degrees
being obese?
into the
Me
vastus
too.
I'm like,
lateralis or deltoid
you know,
muscle.
I'm
Guess I always
Both
have been.
neural and
on the,
vascular
I'm
damage
on the
has been
verge.
documented from insertion of a needle
Thankfully,
at
I
a
think
90
all the
degree
exercise
angle.
I've been doing is
Insertion
potentially,
of the needle at a 45 to 60 degree angle
it's
allows the
potentially my saving
vaccine to be
grace.
How much can you
deposited
bench?
deeply.
not a lot.
This
You
reduces
train?
the risk of
No, I
inadvertent
don't actually do
subcutaneous
bench press.
vaccination and subsequent risk of severe local
I do
reactions.
other weight stuff.
Oh, cool.
They have like
Correct
these
angling of
machines.
the
That's gotta put
needle
on
may
weight,
also
though,
reduce
not
tissue
take it off.
resistance as
I
the
wanna
needle
take off weight.
penetrates the muscle.
They'll take off fat and give me
Vastus
muscle.
lateralis.
So the problem is, I like. Well, the
A
good thing is I
needle
do
of the
cardio as
correct
well, so
gauge
it's
and
like I
length
do a
should
bit
be
of everything.
inserted just above the junction of the upper and middle thirds of the muscle. Insert the needle at a 45
That's
to
called the
60 degree
tendon.
angle towards the patella and posteriorly at a 45 degree angle to
I
the
have to stop
tabletop
eating red
if
meat.
the child is
It's so
supplied.
bad for you, but it's so delicious.
Deltoid. Correct location of the deltoid muscle is more important than needle angle for intramuscular injections. A correct length needle should be inserted at a 45 to 60 degree angle to the skin towards the acromion to ensure
What's
the
an
vaccine is
acromion?
deposited deeply
Yes.
into the bulkiest part of the muscle.
Thanks.
This also avoids inadvertent
It's the
nerve
thing.
penetration.
Look, he's in like Tron.
It is important that infants do not move during the injection,
Alright,
so they
here
must
It's
be
impossible to
adequately
hold a kid
restrained.
Here
Still,
comes
dude.
some
Excessive
baby
restraint can
injections.
increase their fear,
I do
as well as
appreciate that
muscle
they've hidden the
tautness
baby
and
jump.
tension.
Yeah.
I kind of watched this
Infants
and I
can
thought,
be
did they do
positioned
this
by being
so that they
placed on their
didn't film
back
the
on
baby
a
jump,
table
or is
or
that just
bed.
something you do so
The
that they don't piss
forearm
in
is
his mouth?
placed across the infant's pelvis,
Little bit of
and the
both.
thigh is
Yeah,
secured between the
I don't
vaccinator's thumb
remember.
and fingers.
I'm pretty sure.
This position minimises delay between injections
kept his
and makes
nappy
the
on,
injection
like Jackson
process
kept his nappy
easier.
on for all his-
They're trying to get
Alternatively,
up to
the
the
child
hip,
or
that's
infant
But
can be
he's-
held
he's,
by the parent or caregiver
he's
in
now
the
old enough
cuddle
to get
or
in the arm.
semi-recumbent position on the parent's or caregiver's lap. It is essential to undo the baby's nappy when locating the anatomical landmarks for the vastus lateralis site. Otherwise,
moving,
the
baby.
vaccine may be given
Oh,
too
the baby
low
ain't
in the
gonna stop
thigh.
moving.
We got it, jab.
Bruh, it doesn't work like that. The baby don't just stop
The
moving.
injectable vaccines
Vastus
should be administered in a
lateralis.
site that is as free as possible from the risk of
You
local,
know, it sucks that Jackson
neural,
is so scared of doctors
vascular,
already.
and tissue injury.
I was hoping that like he'd
The
be fine
vastus
with it, and then
lateralis
maybe when
is
he's
a
a bit
large,
older, he
thick,
starts to get a
well-developed
little
muscle
bit
in
scared.
infants,
Then I can be
wrapping
like,
slightly
you know,
onto
bro,
the anterior
I'll go
thigh
too.
and
But
extending
now I just know
posteriorly
that
to the
for the rest of
biceps
his life,
femoris.
he's going to be like
Vaccine should
me
be
and just
injected
never want to
into
go
the
to the doctor.
bulkiest part of the vastus lateralis. The vastus lateralis is the preferred site for vaccination of infants and children under 12 months of age. The following list describes the rationale for using the vastus lateralis.
Stop saying
Avoids the
vastus
risk of sciatic
lateralis.
nerve damage in the gluteal region. The
You
deltoid
always give him
muscle
a
is
Happy
not
Meal after he
sufficiently
gets
developed in
injections.
infants to
Yeah.
absorb medication adequately. Some vaccines, for example
that takes
hepatitis
when
B
he's older. Hopefully
vaccine,
he's like, well,
are
I got a
less
cheeseburger.
immunogenic if injected into the gluteal region.
And I just have to sit there and watch him eat
Avoids
it.
the risk of local
God damn it.
reactions
No,
and
no,
chronic
it's
injection
not.
site nodules associated with inadvertent injections into the neurovascular
funky
bundle,
jacks.
which lies
got
immediately
the
underneath the rectus
anti-treating
femoris.
Pick one. There's none nearby.
Avoids the predominantly subcutaneous
The doctor we
fat
go to is
of the
kind of just down the
anterior
road,
thigh.
and then
Do they have
To locate the
bulk
vastus
meat at
lateralis site,
McDonald's? I wouldn't know.
if using a bed or tabletop, have the infant on their
Because
back.
I love the Rebel Burger. I know you
Slightly
prefer the actual
adduct the
veggie
leg
burger
with the
from
knee
McDonald's.
flex.
I love the Rebel
the
Burger.
rebel's just too.
On the lateral thigh,
No, it's smoky.
find the
It's too
trochanter as the
smoky.
upper marker,
Well, the thing
and
is,
the lateral
there's
femoral
a
condyle
burger
as the
place. They
lower
got Bus
marker.
Burger here as well.
Yeah,
And they
Section
do
into
the,
thirds and run
Impossible,
an imaginary
and that's
line
just-
from the
that's the
centre of
best.
the lower marker
the
through
burger
to the
place
centre
over
of the
Pride
upper
Village do the
marker.
mushroom burger.
This line
They
is
keep bringing
highlighted
that
for
up
you because
it's
as
so
you
good.
gently adduct
I
the
love
leg,
mushroom burgers.
the movement makes the fascia lata iliotibial tract dimple along its lower
Iliotibial.
portion. The injection
stick it
site or
in.
needle
Stick that
insertion
needle in.
point is on
Make
the
that baby
midline
cry.
just above the junction of the upper and middle thirds of the vastus lateralis.
Poke him. Child positioning deltoid.
It is easier to safely position and restrain the toddler or preschooler for a deltoid injection if they are
Do you think
sitting
this kid was
sideways on the
actually,
parent's or caregiver's lap.
problematic, or they instructed him
Alternatively,
to
they
pretend?
can face their parent or caregiver while straddling their parent's
no
legs.
kids love it.
The arm to be injected is held close to the child's body, while the other arm is tucked behind the back of the parent or caregiver.
Vegan burgers at McDonald's.
It is essential to expose all of the upper arm when locating the
Unsurprising.
deltoid site to locate
Because
the
I think
anatomical
at the
landmarks.
moment it's still like reasonably
Otherwise, you may
expensive, so
expose
they
only
want
the
to have,
inferior
like,
portion of the deltoid, increasing the
They
risk
need to
of
have like
nerve injury.
sponsorships.
Yeah.
With
In infants and
people that are
young
making
children, the radial nerve
patties
is
or
very
the-
superficial in the
the
middle
fake meat.
third of the upper arm. An injection at the junction of the middle and upper thirds of the lateral aspect of
Injection
the
at the
arm
junction.
may damage the nerve.
Damaging
The rationale for using the
Yikes.
deltoid muscle is based on its accessibility and good vaccine uptake for older children and adults. The deltoid is the site for intramuscular and subcutaneous injection of vaccines in children 12 months and older. To locate the deltoid site, locate the acromion process as the upper marker.
Your wife.
Locate the deltoid
Not so
tuberosity
much
as
you.
the
Well,
lower
I want
marker,
it.
in
I think
line
this
with the
morning they were
axilla.
talking about getting it done.
Draw an imaginary
your wife,
triangle
but not
pointing
you yet.
downwards from the
Not me
acromion.
yet.
Motherfucker.
The injection site is in the centre of the triangle or the point halfway
Maybe
between
if
the
they get
upper
it done
and
at
lower
Tori's work
markers.
again, I can
This will be
sneak
from
in
1 to 4,
get a cheeky
possibly
four.
5 finger
Yeah,
widths,
cheeky
depending
I
on the
have
size
all
of
three
the
of
arm.
mine done at different places.
In children, the volume injected into the
I
deltoid
got the first
should
one
not
at Tori's
exceed
work.
0.5 of a mil,
Vaccine though?
and in
Yeah.
adults,
No.
it should not
I
exceed 1 mil.
Finished it up just for fun on the third.
I just took whatever they would give me.
Check
I
the
was like, whatever.
identity,
They-
batch
they
number,
didn't
and
have- they
expiry
only
date
had
of
the,
the vaccine to be
Pfizer the
administered,
first two
and check
times.
for obvious
Because I got
signs of
mine done
deterioration.
before General Pop did.
Any particular
My first
matter
one.
Me
or
too,
colour
because of
change may
disabilities.
indicate damage
Yeah.
to the vaccine.
I just got mine. 'cause Tori's
Vaccine
work had
should
spare.
not be mixed in the same syringe
like, "All right,
unless a
let's go.
prescribing
Let's fucking
information
go."
sheet specifically states it is permitted, as there are no stability data studies available to support this practice. Different vaccines given on the same day should be injected into different sites. Draw
It's a
up
shame
the
we got
correct
this video
vaccine
so
using a
recently. It would have
non-touch
been fun to
technique
deliberately
and
watch this
observe
when there was all that
occupational health
anti-vax
and
crap.
safety
To be fair, it's still
precautions.
going.
Is it?
Expel
Oh,
excess
Well,
air
they're
from the
never gonna
syringe
stop, dude.
before
They're
changing
never gonna
needles,
stop.
but do not push vaccine through to the outside of the tip of the new needle. Needles should be routinely changed after drawing up and prior to the injection of the vaccine. This reduces the risk of skin irritation and possible damage from a blunt needle. The vaccinator should now position themselves safely and with the assistance of the parent or caregiver,
that kid's
position
not
the
having a good
infant
time,
or
is she?
child.
No,
The
but she got
appropriate
Jenny
site
Bean.
should now be located in preparation for vaccination. Recent
Be
studies
brave.
show skin
You go,
preparation with
girl.
alcohol
When are
or
we gonna get
cleansing
to see
may
the
be
needle?
unnecessary. To clean the
We're
skin
13
only
minutes
if
in,
needed.
so probably soon,
Alcohol
right?
swabs do
Study
not
shows
need to
skin
be
preparation
used
with
unless the
alcohol
site is
may be
obviously dirty.
unnecessary.
Oh, come
If using
on.
an
No
alcohol
alcohol.
swab, ensure the skin is dry before injecting the vaccine. Failure to do so may inactivate a live attenuated vaccine such as MMR, and alcohol may be tracked into the muscle with the
Yikes.
needle, causing local irritation and pain.
Mm.
Intramuscular injection technique, vastus lateralis.
Ah, they said vastus
Immobilize the
lateralis
limb
again.
and hold the muscle correctly.
Immobilize.
Cup the knee in the palm of your hand, gently compressing the muscle with the index
know, I wish
finger
I'd seen
and
this
thumb
video
to
before.
immobilize the site.
Because that would be, that's handy
Insert the
information.
needle quickly and
trying
No
to teach
doctor
us
tells
how
you
to
that.
correct
No
depth
doctor
and
tells you
Oh,
that.
we saw
towards the
it.
patella.
No!
It went in.
Gently and briefly draw back on the syringe plunger.
Oh God.
Slowly inject
Stop
or
moving.
trickle the vaccine into the muscle
Oh,
over a
kid,
count
no.
of 5
This is
seconds
like a horror
to
film.
allow the
Stop.
muscle to accommodate the vaccine. Fast
It's for
injection
his
of the
own good.
vaccine may cause
No,
the
it's
fluid to
because
be
they're
forced
making a
into
video. They're
finite
doing it a
muscle
little bit
space
slower so we can
under
see
No, they're
high
it.
not.
pressure,
That's how they do
increasing
it.
the risk of injection pain.
Oh, I get
Forceful
it. Okay, they
depression
just
of the
told us
plunger may also cause the vaccine to backtrack along
They
the
would
needle
not
shaft
torture
to
a
the
kid
skin
for a video.
surface,
Not in the
which
90s.
may cause
80s
superficial
maybe.
tissue
Yeah.
irritation.
70s definitely.
If you are constantly getting a drop of vaccine at the skin surface following intramuscular injections, you may be injecting too forcibly.
Ah, when we get Now
A
that we've got
large
room, we
gauge
should-
needle
we should
allows the
think about
vaccine to be
getting up and
introduced
dancing for
under
a few
low
episodes.
pressure,
We got that,
especially if it is not
Flintstones
administered
rapping
too
exercising
fast.
video.
Withdraw the needle
Oh,
quickly
figure it
and
out.
release the muscle
If we
gently.
stand like this,
No, I've got a
Dispose of the
laptop.
needle and
You know what I
syringe
mean?
immediately into the
Like,
sharps
I just
container.
need a second VCR.
If the site
One-
bleeds,
you
do
want-
not apply an
you want a
alcohol
second VCR?
swab,
Bring one
but
over.
gently apply a
Sounds good.
clean cotton wool swab.
That way
Leave the
I
site
can, we
exposed
can
to
do
the
it out
air
there.
to ensure quick healing.
I can set up a laptop.
Do
You
not
want
massage or rub the
VCR?
site afterwards,
You
as
want the
massage may
recorder?
cause the vaccine to leak back along the needle track,
mind.
leading to
I don't
tissue
know.
irritation.
like what I would
Complete
do
the
with it, that's
recommended
all.
documentation.
It just sounds like it's an expensive thing.
Infants or
Yeah.
children
Might
should
wanna
remain
swap
in the
it out to
vicinity
the
of the
exercise,
clinic
the
or
other one there or
surgery
something.
for at least 15
bring it
minutes.
over.
I don't know, I like
in
this
case
one.
of
I think this one has
anaphylaxis,
good colours.
which is an
So I
extremely
think
rare
I'll stick
event.
with this one.
Okay.
But the other one I'll happily use it
Intramuscular
for
injection
workouts.
technique.
What would we
Deltoid.
do with a DVD recorder?
Immobilize the limb and
it
hold
might
the muscle
be
correctly.
a more optimal way to record.
Cup the shoulder in
to,
the palm
like,
of your
to back
hand.
up.
Gently
I don't
compress the
actually
deltoid
know.
muscle with the
Well, that's
index
what
finger and thumb
Reese does.
to immobilize
Yeah,
the site.
Yeah, but he's not streaming.
Follow
right?
the procedure as demonstrated
No.
for injection into the vastus
It's just-
lateralis.
I've got a silver one that works.
The problem is you need to
Subcutaneous
buy a
injection
ton. You need to
technique.
buy a ton of DVDs.
A subcutaneous
rewritable?
injection should be given
fuck
into
that.
healthy
Well,
tissue,
probably not,
which
no.
is away from bony prominences and
I
free
don't
from
think it's
large
going to write
blood
it as a
vessels
file.
or
It's going to write it
nerves.
as an actual
The
DVD.
deltoid area of the
No,
upper
I'm
arm
thinking.
is usually recommended
I'll bring you one.
due to
We'll
ease of
decide which one
accessibility
later.
and proven
Whichever.
uptake. The lateral
I'll
thigh
bring
is
the
an
silver one, I know it
alternative
works,
site.
so-
That's fine. Or you can
Immobilize
bring the
the
other one. We
limb
can test
and
it.
locate the deltoid area of the upper arm.
Saves you.
Select
moving all
the
your
correct
equipment.
gauge and needle length
Oh,
for
it's not
subcutaneous
moving anything.
injection.
I've got 4 VCRs.
Insert the needle quickly and smoothly at the correct depth at a 45-degree angle to the skin and towards the
Yeah, see,
acromion.
she's struggling. She's struggling.
Ooh,
Hold
quick.
it,
Follow
hold
the
it, hold
procedure
it.
as demonstrated for injection into the vastus lateralis.
Ooh. No,
Administration of
You're
OPV
okay, I
by
promise.
mouth.
Oh God.
The recommended dose of OPV is 2 drops by mouth for
What?
each
Wait, we can
scheduled
do it
dose.
by the mouth instead?
OPV
What is this
Why has no
needle?
one told us about this?
Other vaccines and should be administered before the injectable vaccines.
Wait.
It is important to
two?
avoid contamination of the dispensing cap
Hey,
when using
is
a
that the lady
multi-dose
from the
vial,
Time to Sleep
or
video?
if the vaccine is dispensed directly into the infant's mouth.
Oh no!
Place 2
It's a
drops of
crossover
OPV on a
episode.
single-use plastic spoon
I
and place
find
the
it so hard
vaccine
to
into
keep
the
up
back
with
of
what's
the mouth.
canon and not in
An
these
older
days.
child can use the spoon independently.
It's all canon.
It's all
It's
With
all
older
canon.
children,
Everything on this
explain
show
that
is
there will be
canon.
a bitter taste. With infants, explain to the parent that the baby might make a funny facial expression for the same reason. Dispose of the plastic spoon into the sharps container. The dose of vaccine should be repeated if it is regurgitated within 10 minutes of administration.
Jesus.
As in, pick it
The
up off the
vaccine
regurgitation
providers
and put it back
parents
in.
or caregivers
Just
should
slip it
keep
up.
a record of what vaccines were given. In some states or territories, immunisation records are required before a child can enrol into childcare, kindergarten, preschool,
So
or
it
school.
should be.
Careful with the down
The
blower
parent or
shots,
caregiver
cameraman.
or person
Yeah,
being
sheesh.
immunised must be given a record
That'll
of
do.
immunisation. For example,
It's
in the
okay, little
personal
girl.
health
It's nearly
record
over. I
or
promise.
a wallet card. The date,
Wallet card.
vaccine name, vaccine dose number, batch number, and the
I've
site
got it on my
used
phone.
should be included.
It'd be really nice if it could
Information
be like,
about
put
the
in
next
some sort of
immunisation should also
system
be
where
supplied
any
in
doctor
writing.
could access
The
it at
record
any
must be
time so that they
signed
can
and in
see
some
rather
public
than you
clinics
having to repeat
stamped
everything.
by the
That would have been
vaccinator.
nice.
Only
The vaccine provider must
Yeah.
also keep records,
then
which
people
includes the
didn't, like,
vaccinee's name,
actively
address,
opt out of it
date of birth,
because they're
next
scared.
of kin, and phone number. This is an
Yeah.
important legal
I
requirement.
say that anti-vaxxers
The
are either
record should also
cowards
include
or
date,
stupid.
vaccine name,
both.
vaccine dose number,
Possibly.
batch number, as well as the route and site used for the injectable vaccines.
What, you think I go to get my
note
COVID
that
vax? Just
valid
like,
consent
yeah, I
was
can't wait
obtained,
to get this
a
sharp
date
needle
for the
jabbed
next
into me. Like,
immunisation,
that's exciting.
and the vaccinator's
I
signature.
know. My whole thing is like, I don't want this, but
Since January the 1st,
I kind of enjoy going
1996,
to the dentist.
providers
Is
have
that
been
weird?
requested
I
to
do not like
participate
the
in the
dentist at
Australian
all.
Childhood Immunisation Register, which is operated by the Health Insurance Commission. A payment is
But
paid
you're
to the
still using
vaccinator in
ink
return for
paper.
But
data,
it's clearly
which is sent to the
genetics, Jackson.
ACIR.
Without even knowing what the
The
fuck's going on.
ACIR is a system to enable parents
they
to
give
get
the
reminder
dollar the
notices
vaccine as
for
well?
future
That'd be
vaccinations,
nice.
and to allow vaccinators to check their patients'
Whoops!
immunisation
Got her
history
between the
prior
eyes!
to opportunistic immunisation. Data
You're
can be sent by
dead
manual
now.
forms
I
or
think
by
there was an air
electronic
bubble in
means.
that.
Contact your state or territory immunisation unit or the Health Insurance
We're going to have to
Commission
rush the
for
doll to
more
emergency.
information. Health professionals have a responsibility to administer vaccines
Pop
in
her
a
head off,
safe
have a look
and
inside.
effective manner.
Nope, no monsters there.
We hope this video will assist you in the delivery of a high-quality immunisation service.
I forgot everything you said already. Ah!
Something needles, something risky.
Alcohol, dry.
Don't put alcohol inside your blood. It would be irritating.
Ah, there we go. That's okay. Cool.
That was a very well-made video,
Yeah.
as opposed to the others. Well, first one was, it seemed a little bit too forced, and the second one was a little bit too boring. But that one was just right.
That one had the right amount of watchability, and it was the one that the least amount of people are supposed to see.
Yeah, exactly. Look at all these references. At least they're
So many
citing their
references.
their sources, huh?
Yeah, right. Although probably most of these things are
Way out of date.
way
now.
out of date now, and
1996. This is after 96. The end. Now we know.
oh, way to show up now, you asshole. The last tape just finished, my guy.
Oh dear. Oh. You missed out on babies getting injections.
Yeah, you missed out on the fun bit.
An American guy with a mustache talking about tampons, and Ruth Cracknell reading the script about osteoporosis.
Yeah, it was a lot of medical shit today.
Yeah, it's good.
Let's get to the back to the
Yeah, put our faces back up. That one. Yeah.
oh.
Cool.
So next week we have a special guest coming on the show.
That's right. We're going on a road trip on Saturday to pick them up. Going to go to that trash heap that we keep bringing up because I love the place where we can get a million VHS for $1.
As you said, we're going to make a stop along the way, did you say?
Yeah, we're going to go searching through some hard rubbish. We might find some like chairs that we like or something. And there is a Vinnie's on the way that I want to stop off at because
It might not be open because it's a weekend.
I'll ring them up.
Well,
We'll sort it out.
we just-
Anyway, yeah, next week the circus will be joining us. I'll be bringing my headphones, and we're gonna watch his sister's school recital, which I don't know about you, but I love watching school recitals. I don't know what it is.
They always look uncomfortable.
Yeah, they do. And this one's got some pretty uncomfortable like awards and thank yous at the end as well.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yikes.
Yep. It's been on our to watch list for a while because the circus keeps coming down.
Yeah, but then every time he's come down, something seriously wrong has gone on with the technology.
So the first time he came down, we did have him on a couple of episodes, but we had too much stuff to watch.
Yeah.
The second time, we decided to just go out.
No,
and
the
hang
second
out
time was
because
when I had the first technological issue.
Yeah,
That was when
everything
the capture
broke,
card
we
first
just-
started fucking up.
Yeah, and then this time, hopefully, everything will be fine. Yeah, sounds like fun.
And breathe.
And breathe. We're done.
Anything anyone in chat wants to say?
Mm.
Bitches want to say anything?
Sorry.
No, I didn't think so.
Ah.
That's right. Cowards.
Yeah.
Hold your tongues. Anything you want to say before we go?
Go watch some commercials over on the Copyright Machine, or some New Zealand gun rampage ads, news articles and stuff.
Yeah. Or go watch an old episode of Tape Time.
Yeah, that's on your channel. But if you go to my Copyright Machine, all of our old episodes are listed there as well. So that's a nice place to get it.
So
all
yeah, so
ready.
go there, squiz it, Copyright Machine.
Yeah, it's fun.
And give us Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, I guess it helps the algorithm, I suppose.
No, the algorithm is apparently helped by having 7 to 9 minute videos released 3+ times a week.
How about I just do what entertains me instead? I'll just do what entertains me instead.
Yeah, that's a better idea.
It's such a better idea. Bugger bullcrap algorithms. We don't get any revenue from it anyway.
No.
It's all
Probably
crap.
never will on the copyright machine.
Oh, no, definitely will not. Unless people start.
My channel
wanting
might
to
eventually
throw
now.
a couple of
Now
dollars.
that we've taken all
Once-
that stuff down.
I haven't taken it all off yet, but once it does get all off, I'll tell you to do the thing.
Well, I probably won't have the views anymore. Well, I definitely won't have the views anymore.
Oh, we'll work on it.
That's why I'm saying go back and go watch old episodes and go watch all my other videos.
Yeah, go watch Tape Time episodes.
All the other random crap on there.
Leave them on in the background. That'll help us out. Anyway.
All right.
That's it for the day. Ugh.
Yep, I've got to go to the gym.
And I've got to go see a man named Jim.
Oh.
No, I don't.
Jim's
No.
mowing?
I don't at all. I'll go home and sit in front of the heater.
I mean, that sounds good too, but...
Yeah. All right. Make sure to rewind all the things and stuff.
And true and whatever it is I say.
Yeah. So long from the start.
Start to finish.
That's cute. Yeah, I like it.
All right, bye everybody.